I've even had people say, oh, your life would be better if you revert to Islam because,
what?
There'd be benefits of you living in the Middle East, etc.
Benefits if you convert.
How disingenuous would that be?
You're at benefits in the Middle East if you convert to Islam. Interesting. I wonder if that was presented to his brother Andrew.
What is happening here?
Your life would be so much better if you converted to Islam.
What is he talking about? He's talking
I don't know.
Converts with benefits. What benefits is he talking about?
Just convert and you'll get some benefits there. Let's see where he goes.
What kind of benefits is he talking about?
Your life would be better if you revert to Islam because, there'd be benefits of you living in the Middle East, etc. I said, no. How disingenuous would that be to my Muslim friends and colleagues, of which I have many, to revert for any beneficial reason other than me genuinely feeling it within my soul?
Notice he just said it. In other words, if it wasn't clear what he's talking about, what he's being offered, if, hey, there would be some real benefits towards you in the Middle East if you just convert to Islam. If he wasn't clear on exactly what he meant, he said, no, it would be disingenuous of me to convert for those benefits and not because I really believe it. He wasn't being told, hey, you should convert because it's true and here's all the evidence. It was, hey, do you realize how popular and what kind of benefits you would have in the Middle East if you just converted to Islam? Isn't that basically Muhammad Hijab's message to you, like in a nutshell, like, hey, things will go really, really well for you if you just convert to Islam.
Yeah. He told me in private, Muhammad Hijab told me in private messages, so like, hey, how about you convert back to Islam? How about you revert? You would instantly become very, very popular. You would have a lot of good things. A lot of our leaders were former enemies of Islam. So why don't you come back and join us? There are lots of benefits.
This is the Islamic prosperity gospel. For people who aren't familiar with the prosperity gospel, there are actual preachers who God wants you to be rich and convert to Christianity and claim your wealth, and God's going to shower you with money and so on. But it's totally correct in Islam. I mean, if you're a famous person and you convert to Islam, yes, there are wealthy people who would gladly shower you with money to go around influencing the next generation and getting them to convert to Islam. They will absolutely love you, which unfortunately for these guys calls into question how genuine these conversions are.
Calls into question everything. And I'm really wondering, didn't your brother convert to Islam?
Notice that should have been the instant follow-up question. Even if he doesn't want to give details or something like that, the instant follow-up question should have been, if these guys wanted to push back on these guys at all, even slightly, the obvious follow-up is, hey, so you were told that it would be very beneficial to you to convert to Islam. Was that offer ever made to your brother? And of course it was, right? If they're coming at Tristan saying, hey, things will go really well for you, lots of benefits to converting to Islam, if you know what I'm talking about. Of course that was offered to Andrew. And then so the follow-up to that, whatever the answer is, okay. Because notice, we know that was offered to if they were offering that, if they were making that, trying to make that deal with Tristan, they're obviously presenting that to Andrew over the years. And so then did Andrew convert because of that? Or was that just a side perk for him that, yes, you get some benefits too, even though you're converting because you're so sincere? Was this just a side benefit for him? That would have been the issue. That would have been very interesting. And of course, he would have said, no, he's completely sincere. But come on, guys.
This is why I said before that I don't want to create a conspiracy theory here, but it seems kind of suspicious that both of these guys are trying to appeal to this whole masculine traditionalist type, and then one of them is a Muslim and one of them is a Christian, and they mention their religious stuff occasionally. They're trying to gather from both religions people and have their support, and they're just using this as a tool, not because they actually value it or believe in it. That's what it looks like to me. But I'm not sure if that is the truth. But here is Tristan saying that he is told, hey, there will be a lot of benefits for you in the Middle East if you convert to Islam. His brother did it. There are people who are actually sponsored, Western people who to go and travel to these Middle Eastern countries. They are paid to go there and to advertise and tell everybody how amazing it is. But then they also end up speaking good stuff about Islam and Muslims. And it looks like that's probably part of the deal too. Why don't they just shut up and not say these things that they shouldn't be saying? Why don't they learn from the mistakes of Yasser Qadi. I'm very curious about it, and I really want him to explain to us what exactly those benefits are.
I guess it's happened to AJ. Hey, why don't you convert to Islam? Things could turn out very well for you. I know 2 Arab Christian pastors who were offered massive amounts of money for converting and then saying that they converted because they examined the Bible and the Quran and they found out that the Quran is true. So you do have people waiting to shower you with money if you say something about positive about Islam. And there was that entire Wall Street Journal article years ago where back in the 90s they had all these Western scientists that they were bringing to the Middle East, and they would give them these massively distorted quotations and say, hey, how could Muhammad have known this? The vast majority of the scientists said that doesn't look remotely impressive. But the few who actually said, yeah, I don't know how Muhammad could have known about that. These guys acknowledged that their vacations were paid for by these guys, and they were put up in the best hotels and given money and presents and showered with everything. And all they had to do was say something positive about Islam. And to this day, you can open up Muslim Dawah books and it'll say, and even Western scientists, when they were presented with this amazing information, had to grant that Muhammad could only have known this through miraculous means. And it's still used for Dawah. When it's interesting because what was that guy, the rationalizer? He interviewed these guys. So the Wall Street Journal went and found these scientists who said something positive. One of them called it mutual manipulation. They said, we got free stuff and all we had to do was say something about their religion. It's mutual manipulation. So yes, in exchange for free vacations and so on, we will say something nice about your religion. The rationalizer had these guys on, was saying, hey, why don't we look at the entire, do you really think there's anything miraculous here? They're saying, no, there's nothing miraculous here. So, but notice you have that going on where wealthy, oil-rich people will gladly shower you with money or anything else you want if you just say something positive about Islam. And then the main work that's ever been used in this regard is Maurice Bucay's book about the amazing scientific insights in the Quran. And this is a guy who worked for King Faisal. He worked for King Faisal. And then he comes out with this book on the amazing scientific miracles. And he never converted. He never converted to Islam over this, but he put out the book. And we know that there are people who are willing to pay people to do that. And so, yeah, nothing suspicious here going on, ladies and gentlemen.
Very quick question to you, just out of curiosity. If you were hypothetically offered more money than you can ever think of by a sheikh in Dubai, and guarantees income, all kinds of homes, whatever you want for the rest of your life, for your family and your kids, would you convert to Islam, David?
No, you could. You could offer me. You could agree to make me king of the world to convert to Islam. Yeah, not happening.
If that just doesn't show how desperate the Islamic dawah is, I don't know what else will.
But I mean, think about it. I mean, this all goes back to Muhammad. When he was just saying, hey, there's only one God, he did not get a lot of converts. Once he said, hey, our new deal, everyone who fights for me, you either survive the battle or you don't. If you survive the battle, then you return home with rewards. Or if you die, you go to paradise. Win-win. Right? But notice, either way, guys, it's to your benefit to convert, not because of absolute oneness of Allah or anything like that. You're getting lots of stuff. That was Muhammad's method of winning. That's what gave him success at winning converts. We shouldn't be surprised that 14 centuries later, they're still doing the same thing.